My name is Victoria, and last Tuesday I opened the door to my Malibu mansion to find my new housekeeper standing on the marble steps. When she looked up and our eyes met, the clipboard fell from her hands. It was Emma, my sister. The same woman who wore my wedding dress 7 years ago and married the man I was supposed to walk down the aisle with. Now she was here, uniform pressed and references in hand, asking if the position was still available. I smiled, stepped aside, and said the words I never imagined I'd say. Welcome to your first day. But let me take you back to where this really started, because revenge, this sweet, doesn't happen overnight. 7 years ago, I was a property coordinator for a real estate firm in Boston, making decent money, living a comfortable life. I'd been with Marcus for 4 years. We met at a charity gala. He was charming, successful, a senior analyst at an investment bank. My family adored him, especially Emma. Emma was my younger sister by 3 years. She was staying with me that year, looking for work after dropping out of her master's program. I gave her a room, helped with her resume, introduced her to my friends. Marcus and I were planning a spring wedding. The invitations were ordered. My dress was hanging in the closet. Ivory silk, with hand-sewn pearls. Then came the night that changed everything. I came home early from a site visit. The apartment was dark, except for light under my bedroom door. I heard laughter, Marcus's voice, then Emma's giggle. I stood in that hallway for 30 seconds. My hand was on the doorknob. I already knew. I opened the door. They were tangled in my sheets, my engagement ring sitting on the nightstand. Emma saw me first. She didn't gasp or cover herself. She just looked at me with this strange mixture of defiance and pity. Marcus stumbled over apologies that meant nothing. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I just said 5 words. Get out of my apartment. They left together that night. 2 weeks later, my mother called to tell me they were engaged. Emma wanted to use my wedding date. She said it seemed wasteful to let the venue go. My father agreed. He said I was being dramatic, that I should be mature enough to support my sister's happiness. I stopped answering their calls, but I couldn't stop them from sending the wedding invitation. Cream cardstock with gold lettering. Emma and Marcus. They even used the same photographer I'd booked. Have you ever felt so erased that you wondered if you'd imagined your own existence? Let me know in the comments. The months after were dark. I moved to a smaller apartment, threw myself into work, and tried to rebuild something that felt like a life. My colleagues whispered. My friends chose distance. I was alone in a way I'd never experienced. That's when I met Richard. Not romantically. Richard was a 72-year-old real estate investor who'd built his portfolio from nothing. He came into our office looking to offload a commercial property. We got talking over coffee, and I made the mistake of being honest when he asked why I looked so tired. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, then said something I'll never forget. You're grieving the wrong loss. You didn't lose a man or a sister. You lost your illusions about them. That's a gift. Now you get to build something real. Then he offered me a deal. He'd teach me everything he knew about real estate investing if I'd help him manage his properties for a year. No salary increase, just knowledge. I said yes immediately. That year rebuilt me. Richard taught me how to analyze markets, spot undervalued properties, negotiate like I had nothing to lose. I took every dollar I'd saved for the wedding and invested it in my first property. A rundown duplex in a neighborhood everyone said was 5 years from gentrification. They were right. I renovated it myself on weekends, learning to tile and paint and fix plumbing. When I sold it 18 months later, I doubled my investment. I bought 2 more properties with the profit. Then 4. Then a small apartment building. Richard co-signed my first major loan, a $2 million commercial property that everyone said was too ambitious. I proved them wrong. The turning point came 3 years ago. I was in Los Angeles for a conference when the speaker showed a slide of a clifftop estate in Malibu. 20,000 square feet. Ocean views, architectural masterpiece. It had been on the market for 2 years because the price tag scared everyone away. $35 million. But I saw something different. I saw location, rarity, and a desperate seller. If I could negotiate down to $28 million, renovate strategically and hold it for 3 years, the property would be worth $50 million minimum. It was insane. It was perfect. I spent 2 months negotiating. The seller was a tech executive going through a divorce who needed to liquidate fast. I offered $26 million, all cash, 30-day close. He accepted. My investors thought I'd lost my mind, but they trusted my track record. I spent a year transforming that estate, hired the best architects, designers, landscapers. I wasn't flipping it, I was making it mine. When it was finished, it was featured in Architectural Digest. My net worth hit $20 million. I was 33 years old. During those years, I'd heard occasional updates about Emma and Marcus. They'd moved to Seattle. Marcus lost his job. Emma was pregnant, then not pregnant. They'd moved again. Then I stopped hearing anything, and I was grateful for the silence.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
Last month, I hired a staffing agency to find a new housekeeper. The agency sent over 3 candidates. The third interview was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. I was in my office overlooking the infinity pool when my assistant buzzed to say the final candidate had arrived. I walked to the foyer, and there she was. Emma. 7 years older, wearing a pressed uniform, her hair pulled back in a way that made her look tired. She was staring at the chandelier, the imported marble, the sweeping staircase. When she saw me, her face went through every emotion at once. Shock, recognition, shame, fear. "Victoria," she whispered. The clipboard clattered to the floor. I picked it up, scanned her resume. 3 years of housekeeping experience. References from 2 families in Orange County. A P.O. box address. No mention of Marcus. "You're here for the housekeeping position?" She nodded, couldn't find words. I let the silence stretch until it hurt. Then I smiled, the same smile I'd practiced in 1,000 negotiations. "The position pays well. 4 days a week, health benefits included. I'm not here most weekdays. Do you have experience with properties this size?" Yes, I've worked in large homes." Her voice was small, unfamiliar. "Good. When can you start?" She stared at me like I'd spoken a language she didn't recognize. "You're offering me the job?" "The agency vetted you. Your references check out, unless there's a reason you don't think you'd be a good fit." In that moment, she understood. This wasn't cruelty. It was something more complex. A door I was choosing to leave open when I could have slammed it shut. "I can start Monday," she said quietly. "Perfect. My assistant will handle the paperwork." I turned to walk away, then paused. "Emma? The East Wing needs deep cleaning. 3rd floor, guest suites. Start there." Over the following weeks, Emma showed up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. She was punctual, thorough, professional. We didn't talk beyond what was necessary. She cleaned the home I'd built from the ashes of the life she'd burned down, and neither of us acknowledged the impossible poetry of it. But 3 weeks in, I came home early and found her crying in the laundry room. She was folding towels and tears were streaming down her face. I almost walked away, but something made me stop. "What happened?" I asked from the doorway. She jumped, wiped her face quickly. "Nothing." "I'm sorry." "Emma, what happened?" She broke then. "Marcus left 2 years ago, ran off with someone he met at a conference, emptied our account and disappeared. I had nothing. No degree, no career, no references. I'd spent years being his wife, planning a life that evaporated. I moved back to California, took whatever work I could find. When I saw your address on the assignment, I almost didn't come. But I needed the job. I needed to see what you'd become. Because I knew you'd done something extraordinary." I leaned against the doorframe, processing this. The woman who'd stolen my life was holding my towels, crying about the man who'd abandoned her the same way they'd abandoned me. "I'm sorry," she said, and it sounded genuine. "I've wanted to say that for 7 years. I was cruel. I was selfish. I destroyed something I had no right to touch. And you built all of this. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed you to know that I see what I took from you, and I see what you made anyway." I stood there for a long moment, looking at my sister. Not the villain I'd carried in my mind, but a real person who'd made catastrophic choices and lived with the consequences. I felt something shift, not forgiveness exactly, but something softer than hate. "Keep the job," I said finally. "But Emma, I didn't build this because of what you took. I built it because of what I found when I stopped looking for what I'd lost. That's the difference between us." She nodded, crying harder. I left her there and walked back to my office, sat at my desk overlooking the Pacific. and felt the last piece of old grief dissolve. She'd stolen my fiancé and worn my wedding dress and taken my family's approval. But she'd also freed me from a life too small for the person I was becoming. Now Emma works here 3 times a week. We're not sisters the way we used to be. But there's a strange peace in these hallways, a quiet understanding that life doesn't move in straight lines. That sometimes the people who hurt us most become mirrors, showing us who we're capable of becoming. That revenge doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like a door held open, a job offered, a life so beautifully constructed that it needs no defense. I stand on my terrace most evenings now and watch the light change over the water, and I think about that girl 7 years ago, hand on the doorknob, about to see her world end. I wish I could tell her what I know now. That the end was actually a beginning. That she'd take that pain and forge it into something unbreakable. That one day she'd own the ocean and the sky and the peace that comes from becoming exactly who she was always meant to be. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to watch more revenge and inspiring stories that will make you excited, like this one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments, and let us know what you think about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.